Hey guys, welcome to my channel. So today I have sort of like a vlog video. I recently actually yesterday and today made my first ever stacked and frosted cake. So it was quite a journey. I learned a lot of tricks and I had a lot of issues with it. But for the main part, I think that it came out pretty well. I don't have it right here with me right now in person because my aunt just came to pick it up. It was a Batman cake for my cousin's birthday. Today is her birthday, so happy birthday. This video will probably go up after today, so whatever, but happy birthday anyways. So I don't have it with me, but I will insert a picture, so it should be right here, and I'll keep it up here for most of the time that I'm talking to you guys. I have pictures of sort of the process of the actual cake, so I will be switching the pictures out to show you guys what I'm talking about. Anyways, I'm going to try to make this video really short. Not really short, but not too long. And I will also edit it so that it's not too long. But if it does turn out to be longer than I expected, there might be two parts to this video. So I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, I am going to start. And yeah, I don't know how many of you guys will be interested in knowing how I made it. But yeah, I'm not going to be showing you guys how I made it because I didn't record the whole process, but I'm going to be telling you guys how I made it. And like I said, I'll have pictures showing you guys. So, first things first. So what I did in advance is I started the sort of top decorations that were going to go on top of the cake. Things that were not going to be attached to the cake. For example, the Batman logo and the buildings that are at the bottom, I did those once the cake was already frosted because since I'm using fondant, if I did this before, then the fondant would dry flat and then it wouldn't look good on the cake because they would be flat and the cake is round. So stuff like that I did once the cake was already frosted, and other things like the Batman belt and the Batman itself and even the sign you could totally do a day or two in advance, and that's what I did. I started with the Batman, and I did that out of gum paste. Now, this time was the first time that I had ever used gum paste. I've never ever in my life used gum paste before, but I really wanted to try it, and I thought that this project was going to be something really good for me to try that with. Usually, I just make my decorations out of fondant, and that's worked good for me. But now that I've tried gum paste, I love it so much for figurines and stuff like that because it dries a lot quicker and it dries hard, and it doesn't really break as easily as fondant would. So I started with that. I made the shoes, the torso, the head, the belt. The belt is fondant. You could do gum paste, but it really doesn't make a difference because it's stuck onto him anyways. And then to attach, oh, and then I did all of those body parts separately. So I did the head first. So I attached the head to the body with a toothpick, and then I attached that piece to the legs using two toothpicks. The toothpicks were not long enough to go through the cake, so if I just stirred it up like that, then it would flop over because it was too heavy and the toothpicks didn't hold it. So I attached just a skewer, a bamboo skewer, and I actually have one right here. This is the one that I cut. It was about this long. So I just cut a piece of this and attached it to the back of Batman with some gum glue that I made from just a little bit of gum paste and some water. Just mix it and wait until it like makes a sort of a glue, sticky glue. Attach it to the back and then stick it on the cake, and that was really good for support. So I did that. I didn't do the cake because I wanted it to be laying on the cake, and I just wanted to wait. I thought it'd be easier to wait. So yesterday, I basically did everything else. I baked the cakes. So I took my recipe, like my batter, and I poured in half of the batter into an 8-inch cake pan. Put that in the oven for it to bake, took it off, waited for it to cool, then took it out, put it on a cooling rack, and then put in the other half of the batter and did the same thing. I only have one 8-inch cake pan, so I had to like wait until each part of the cake was baked. One trick that I learned, because my cakes were coming out very domey, so with cupcakes, for the most part, you want your cupcakes to have a dome on top because they look nice and they look pretty, and you know that's sort of the way that it should be. But for cakes, especially if you're frosting them and stacking them, you want them to be flat. And mine were coming out really domey. So I looked it up on the internet, and I learned a really cool trick, which was you take your pan and you put it on with your batter in it, and you put it on a flat surface, whether that is your table or your counter. I did it on the floor because I was scared of it sliding off my table and making a complete mess. So just put it on the floor and then sort of spin it really fast. Not so fast that the batter is going to fly off of the pan, but fast enough for it to like form a little sort of like an upside down dome on the pan. So it's like this sort of on the pan, and I stuck it in the oven, and it didn't come out completely flat, but it wasn't as domed as my other cake had come out. So I was really happy about that, and that's something that I'm going to be doing every time that I make cake now because it really worked for me and I was happy with it. I also cut out a piece of wax paper the same size as the bottom of the pan. I stuck it in, and that just helped it after baking to take off the cake from the pan, and it made it a lot easier to take it out. And I didn't butter the sides, but you can if you want to. I buttered the side of one, and I noticed that it didn't really make that big of difference, so I didn't continue to butter them, and it was basically the same. All I did was when it came out of the oven and it was nice and warm, just run a knife through the edges, and when it's nice and cool, it's going to help it pop out a lot easier. And yeah, so I took that. I don't have a spinning cake stand, which I later realized that I needed, and that was really important because it just makes things a lot easier. So I took out my cakes, I trimmed them down, so I made them flat, and since but mostly the edges were a little bit, not burnt, but a little bit hard, I just trimmed the edges off, and then I had two nice 8-inch, or well, it was like 7-inch after I cut off the little crust, but two nice 7-inch rounds. And once I had that, I took one part and put it on my cake board, and I bought some cake boards from Michael's for this project especially because I knew that I wanted to try to stack a cake, and I've never done it before, so I got, the stuff that I needed. And I got this 10-inch circle cake board thing, and it sort of looks like a doily. I didn't really care much about the doily, but I mean, it's a nice touch, so you don't really need it. And this is what it is. It's a 10-inch cake board, and it says it's good for 8-inch to 9-inch cakes. And since I was going to stack a smaller cake on top of that, I also got this 8-inch cake board circles from Wilton. I got it at Michael's as well. And this is good for 7 to 6-inch round cakes. So I got my big cake board because that was the cake that I was going to frost first. And I put it on top of here. Then I put some frosting on top of it. And then I put another, the other piece on top of the frosting. Once that was done, then I started dirty icing or dirty frosting or crumb coating. Same thing. I started doing that to my cake. And basically what that does is it seals in all of the crumbs. Since I did trim a little bit from the sides, there was a lot of crumbs. And if I were to go in and try to frost it completely, it would be a total mess because there's crumbs everywhere. So you want to dirty ice it before you want to frost with your finished frosting with your your finished product. If that makes any sense. So I did that, and that was so easy. Put it in the fridge. Then I did my other cake. Did the same thing, but this time I put it into this smaller circle. Since I did bake the second tier into the 8-inch cake pan, and I didn't want both of the tiers to be the same size, I did trim it around, and it turned out to be about about 6 inches. So I put it on the smaller cake boards, and these are 8-inch cake boards. So obviously the cake was a little bit smaller than this. I knew that I had to trim it because if I wanted to stack this on top of this, I didn't want any of, the smaller cake board to show. So I knew that I had to trim it, but I didn't trim it until the end. So I put both of those cake tiers into the fridge for the frosting to get nice and hard and cool. Once I did that, I took the bottom tier out and I started frosting them, and I frosted them with some gray frosting. And I had watched some videos on how to stack a cake, and I knew that it was not going to be easy, but I didn't realize how hard it was going to be, at least for me. I mean, it was my first time, so I think for my first time I did a pretty good job. But basically, I tried to frost it, and the fact that the frosting before that, the crumb coat, was nice and hard, it made it a lot easier to frost so that the crumbs didn't get on top of the gray frosting so much. But still, it was a little hard because I couldn't get my frosting to be nice and smooth. It was really hard for me. So I tried so many things and they did not work at all. So I kind of gave up a little bit. I put that tier into the fridge, and then I took out the smaller tier, and I decided just to give it another go. So I tried it. This time what I did, because before I started with a little bit of frosting and sort of worked with that. This time what I did was I put a lot of frosting on top, frosted the top of the cake, and then frosted the sides, and then went back on top and sort of frosted the top again. And I was working really, really fast before the icing had time to dry. And it wasn't perfect, but it was a lot better than the bigger tier. So once that was done, I put that in the fridge. I took the bigger tier out of the fridge again and decided to give it another go. I did it and it came out a lot better. Obviously, still not perfect, but it was a lot better than before. So then I was ready to stack the cakes. So at Michael's, I saw that they sold some wooden dowels, and I didn't buy those because I don't have dowels here, but I had like a wooden little stick that I knew that was going to work for this, and so that's what I used. And it looked like this. This is a skewer that I showed you guys before, but it was a little bit thicker than this, and so that's what I used. And it worked perfectly for holding up the cake. Now, my mistake was that I didn't cut the dowels the way that I should have cut them. I learned from a YouTube video that you should look at your cake and see, I mean, it should be flat, but if it's not, look at the top part of your cake, the highest point of your cake, stick your dowel in, measure it, take it back out, cut it, and then cut the rest of your dowels. So that when you go and stack your cake, they're all the same size. My mistake was that I didn't do that, and I went in and I measured, like, I put in my dowel, took it out, cut it, and then put it back in, and then did the same way around. And that's perfectly fine as well. You can totally do that. But I think one of my dowels was a lot shorter than the cake, and so when I went to put my smaller cake on top of the big one, it kind of just, like, flattened out the big one, and so it's supposed to be nice and straight, but when you flatten it out, it kind of curved a little bit. So that was not good. It didn't completely ruin the cake, but it was sort of too late for me to go back and try to fix it or fix the icing because the icing had already crusted. So I think that next time I'm going to measure the highest part of the tier and then cut the rest of the dowels the same size so that the top one rests nice and flat on to the bottom tier. So backtracking a little bit, I told you guys that I used my 8-inch cake board for a 6-inch cake, so the cake was smaller, and since I was going to put it on top of the bigger tier, it was obviously, not going to look right to, have the cake board showing. So once the cake is on top, you want to do everything that you're going to do before, you want to put it on top of your second tier. So once you have done whatever you need to do, then you grab it, get it, and then take some scissors and just cut around. And I found that that's much easier because once you cut around, all you have to do is just put it on top of the first tier, and it just makes it a lot easier. So if you buy a huge cake board, or if you have a huge cake board and you only want to make a small cake, you can definitely use that. Completely fine. Just cut around. It's perfect. And I like these because it sort of has like this plasticky thing on top, film sort of on top, that makes it for nice cleanup. If you use regular cardboard, which I have used before for regular cakes, the oil kind of stains the cardboard and doesn't really look very nice. So I like these because it has a nice film on it. Makes it easy to clean. If you are using cardboard, I would suggest maybe use some contact paper and put it on top to have a nice plasticky sort of layer on top. Anyways, I stacked it and I have a picture of that, so I'm going to put it over here. And yeah, after that, all I had to do was decorate it, and that is my favorite part, best part ever. I had my Batman done, like I said. I had put it on a skewer, so I just stuck that on. I had also needed to do the cape, so I rolled out some gum paste, and I made the cape. So I rolled it out, and I rolled it a little bit thick, measured it, cut it, put it on the Batman, and I don't know if you can tell in the picture that I'm going to show you, but it's kind of resting on top of the cake, so it looks like it's nice and draping on the cake. And that's what I wanted, so that's why I didn't do the cape before, because I wanted it to look nice and resting on top of the cake. So I had Batman done. I had to do the Batman belt, and that was so easy. I used fondant for that because I didn't really need it to stand up or do anything in particular, so I used fondant for that. Then I did the happy birthday sign, and I also used fondant. I could have used gum paste, but for some reason I just didn't. I used fondant, and how I made it stand up was that I did it and I made it a little bit thicker, and I put it on a piece of cardboard. So I cut out a small piece of cardboard, sort of like a triangle, So the tip would go into the cake, and then this part, I don't know what I'm doing. So the tip would go into the cake, and then this part would be attached to the fondant. So I attached the fondant to the cardboard with a nice tip, little point at the bottom to stick into the cake. And then since I didn't want any of the cardboard showing through, I just sort of tried to disguise it with some fondant on the back so that you can see the cardboard. And then I stuck that on. I waited for it to dry for about an hour, because if you do it right away, it's going to just flop. So I waited for it to dry for about an hour, 2 hours, stuck it onto the cardboard, stuck the fondant on top of the cardboard on the back, stuck it into the cake. So once I stuck that onto the cake, I moved on to the rest of the decorations. So I did the Batman logo, and I did that out of fondant. The light that is coming out of the buildings is out of fondant as well. And the buildings are fondant too. And the buildings are so easy to make. All you have to do is cut rectangles and squares. You want to make roofs on some of them, and, you know, cut them at an angle just to make them different. You want to make some smaller, some bigger, and just cut a lot of those. Then cut out a lot of small, you know, square windows, and just stick those on, and that's it. That's super easy. So yeah, that's basically it. Oh, and then I did some decorations onto where the bottom tier and the second tier meet. I put some frosting. So I just took some black frosting and a star tip, and I did a little border, and I did a border on the top tier as well. And yeah, that's it. So my overall experience with frosting and stacking cakes was, I think, at a medium level. For it being my first time doing this, it was, you know, really hard, but I think the outcome wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. So yeah, I'm kind of pleased. My cousin liked it, and I'm really proud of it because I tried so hard. So yeah, I'm really, really happy with it, and I hope you guys like it as well. So yeah, if you have been watching this video from start to finish, thank you so much for watching. And if you have any questions about anything, as always, please leave them down in the comments. Remember to follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is atomic_cupcake. And yeah, you can follow me there if you want to see anything of what I'm working on or what I'm doing, or just, I don't know, my personal life, I guess. And yeah, I'm so happy. So yeah, please remember to like and to comment, subscribe. I think I'm like 3 subscribers away from 400, so I'm super excited about that. And hopefully by the time I actually upload this video, I would have reached that point. Do you like my earrings? They're little bundles of earrings. They are from my friend on Instagram. Her Instagram name is sweet_cheeks_. I'll link it down below, but they're so adorable. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure that they're made out of polymer clay. And they're just so cute. You can go on her Instagram and check out everything that she does. These are so adorable. I just thought that I'd mention them. So if you're interested, go and check her out. She's awesome. So yeah, anyways, I hope that you guys like this video, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye! Let me know if you like these kinds of videos or not, so that I can know if I should do them or not. There are other cakes and cupcake designs that I have done, but that I have never, you know, made tutorials on. But I have pictures of them, so I can do what I did today and sort of put a picture on the side so that you guys can see what they looked like. And I can tell you how I made it. So they're not really a tutorial where you see, you know, me actually making it, but it's a picture and I tell you how to make it, if that makes any sense. If you are interested, then leave a comment down below. If you're not, then, you know, don't. But just remember to please like and support my channel. It really means the world to me. And yeah, thank you guys so much. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.